Hey everyone, today I'm going to look at several alternatives to Function Health. So if you have used Function Health before, you might have some main complaints about the cost, what's included, and what type of ongoing support you get after the fact. So I'm going to look at 4 key alternatives, namely InsideTracker, LifeForce, Bionic Health, and Quest. So one of the major pain points that a lot of people have had with Function is that it is set up as an annual membership. So every year you have the annual test. That happens every year. You pay about $500 for your membership, and twice a year you also get an additional 60 lab tests that you can compare. Anything beyond those 160 included tests is an on-demand test that you have to pay for additionally. So if you aren't looking for that many biomarkers, you don't necessarily need to know your LDL cholesterol or your triglycerides or your thyroid, and you're looking for biomarkers about related to a very specific issue. Let's say you are concerned about low testosterone. You maybe don't need all of these things. You don't necessarily need to see if you're worried about celiac. You don't necessarily need to see how your immune regulation is going. You might only want a test that gives you a deeper panel of insight into your testosterone and related issues. So in that sense, I would say that Quest Health is your greatest alternative. Quest is designed to give you a blood test, either mobile or at one of their locations. They actually provide the same physical test sites for people who use Function Health. So if you've signed up for Function Health, you know that if you go into the office, you're going to a Quest facility. Now that said, Quest works a little bit differently. You can actually shop for individual tests. So from here, if you already know, if you're worried, as I said, about low testosterone, for example, you can come over here and shop tests, and you can see, well, let's go down to sexual health and see what we have here. Okay, that's just a lot of quick tests right there. Not quite what we're looking for. Okay, so you can go over here and check a different panel. You can say hormones. You check over hormones and, oh, there it is, a testosterone test or a men's hormone test, a little bit more expansive than just testosterone. So maybe you thought, oh, I'm having issues with testosterone, and this was the test you were going for. Well, now you might want this. You might want to look at a much bigger test and see what else is available. Maybe you're a woman and you're starting to feel very fatigued. You're starting to have some mood swings and you're worried that it might be perimenopause or menopause time. Well, you can go over here and get this comprehensive health profile to see how things are working, what markers you might have that are where they should be versus where they shouldn't be. You can get this hormone test panel, looking at 10 female hormones that might affect your reproductive health. You can also have tests to confirm whether you have finished menopause. So these are very specific tests that help you deal with a specific issue. And one of the things I do like about Quest is that it not only tells you what the cost is going to be for individual tests and their subsequent results, but it tells you if there's treatment available. So if you take this women's hormone test panel and you get your results, it's going to immediately kick that information to one of their independent physicians, and those physicians will reach out to you and from there discuss what your treatment options are. So that can be a really useful alternative to Function Health if you are not only interested in individual tests instead of an annual membership, but follow-up information on what to do, what treatment to receive, and what to discuss with your doctor. Now, on that note, another issue that people have brought up is the cost, right? So in addition to the cost and what's included, when you get the information from your tests, it comes back to you in a nice package. So you schedule your tests, you get the results, and those results include right here, insights from doctors, a quick clinician summary, and a phone call for anything that is critical. But basically, you're handed a document, much the same as Quest does, which tells you, hey, here's all your biomarker information. Here are all the categories and where you ranked on the categories, either above, in, or below range. Have fun. So if that is your pain point, that they don't really do a lot to help you after the fact, there are a lot of competing alternatives. So one of those is going to be LifeForce. So LifeForce is a good alternative here if you are looking for much more advanced lab testing and personalized health guidance. LifeForce is a bit more expensive. They charge you per month, but you get a better frequency as well. So if your pain point is, hey, they don't test my information, they don't get my blood tests and test those biomarkers as frequently, LifeForce is going to be a good alternative because you get tests done every 3 months. And from there, you not only get a piece of paper that tells you about what your test results said, but a 45-minute one-on-one session with a clinician every 3 months. Now, Function Health gives you that option if something's wrong, if there's something really bad. But LifeForce is there to help you in a sort of preemptive fashion. We don't want to wait until something's bad. We want to know that something is headed toward bad so that we can take corrective action. And that's what LifeForce does. So they are really well known for their focus on preventative medicine. And a part of that is obviously all of these key biomarkers. Now, they test 50 biomarkers, but part of that membership gives you so many team members to support your long-term health. You don't just get a summary, you get information with access to that telehealth consultation from which you can start different supplements, different pharmaceuticals, other programs, and lifestyle changes that might support that benefit, those changes. Now, you'll note that with the app, all of your data is compiled. So the longer you maintain your membership, the more data you have. And they give you a score. So you can see, optimum is 100 out of each of those 10 health categories. But you'll see where you land for each of those categories. And then get to work with health coaches, get to work with several members of a team who can send you messages, who can send you text messages that remind you to do things like meditation or light stretching an hour before bed, who can work with you to change what you are eating. You can see that you get a lot of coaching support with a LifeForce health coach. So in addition to working with your clinician, if there's something that you might need more advanced treatment for, they work with you and your clinician to create a much more personalized treatment plan, lifestyle plan, however you want to view it, all of which is focused on, as I said, longevity and preventative health. Now, similarly, we have over here InsideTracker. So InsideTracker actually gets its name from the fact that you can track all of the things that are happening inside, but I like to think of it as the fact that it is tracking you with the wearable devices. So their focus is somewhat similar to LifeForce in that they provide personalized recommendations for improving your health across several categories. And that's from blood tests and DNA tests and fitness trackers. So they use those wearable fitness tracking devices to monitor a much more comprehensive set of data points. So whereas Function Health might look at your blood test and from there the biomarkers within your blood test, this membership targets all of these categories. So there are 10 categories here. You get your recovery. Oh my goodness, so many people are bad at recovery. If you're the type of person who works out really hard and then you come home and you do yard work and then you go for a hike and then you get up early on the weekends and you go sweat, you've never given your body a chance to recover. Recovery does not mean doing other things. It means just sitting on the couch and letting your muscles rebuild, letting your body flush out toxins. You have to give your body that chance. So if you are looking for overall wellness, I would suggest InsideTracker as a good alternative as well, because it has very similar support structures to what you get with LifeForce as opposed to Function Health. It helps track recovery, sleep, cognition, heart health, inflammation, hormones, endurance, fitness, metabolism, and gut health. So these tests work very similarly. They do the blood draw, they give you the results on your dashboard, and then they make recommendations with a customized plan for food, supplements, health habits. They have an app that continues to update you, kind of similarly to LifeForce with that different, like each category has a different number and your goal is to reach 100 and you can check your progress. The app can be connected to your wearable devices so that you get much better insight into things like sleep and recovery. Don't forget about that recovery, very important. So you can see here, it'll show you. And I like this basic color scheme. It does make it easy at a quick glance to see where you are, where you need to be, and of course, what recommendations they give you. You might see, I'm at an elevated risk of high glucose. And how is that impacting your genetic age, your inner age here? Oh, it's adding a couple of years to your body's age. Well, you can click on your metabolism and see what recommendations they have for you. So you get a lot of personalized results, you get a lot of insight, and this is really best for people who are comfortable with wearables that track that information. Now, I obviously think LifeForce is going to be a better option in that regard only because it doesn't track you with wearables. I don't like wearing devices. That's just me. I don't remember to use them. I don't remember to charge them. So I might get really good insights for a couple of weeks. I feel really good. I'm checking my steps. I know what's going on, but then suddenly it becomes more of a chore. I'm like, oh no, I need to do this thing. I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who has that issue. So if that's something, if you're that person, if you forget to charge your watches, if you forget to do all the things, if you ignore the notifications, then having that insight might not be as beneficial for you, but it's still something to consider. That leads me to Bionic Health. Now, they are more of a holistic approach. So if you don't like that Function Health doesn't give you direct interventions for a lot of the health concerns for which they test, Bionic Health does. So they combine that sort of advanced testing that you get with LifeForce and the continuous monitoring that you would get with InsideTracker with more personalized care programs, especially for things like hormone balances, sexual dysfunction, and weight loss. So they do have proactive care for couples. I like that they offer things for couples. They do similar. So they do have clothing, that's fun. They have all of, the water bottle to encourage you to stay hydrated, the stainless steel tumbler, presumably if you're making smoothies, that's a nice way to remember to, drink healthier things, eat healthier things. But it doesn't really have a direct bearing on, in my mind, the efficacy of Bionic Health. It's not necessarily going to encourage you to drink more. I know, because I gave my mother-in-law water bottles for several years to try and get her to drink more, and all those bottles just collected dust on a shelf in her kitchen. So how does it work? Well, they do a similar blood draw. They look for some of the same main issues that people are dealing with, those age-related health concerns that don't necessarily have to just happen. We used to think for so long that age-related issues just happened, right? Menopause just made you gain weight. Well, no, it doesn't. It depletes your energy. It makes you slower. It makes you more tired. And that is what leads you to exercise less and crave fatty foods. And that is what leads to the weight gain. So there are so many preventative steps that can be taken if you have the right data, if you're looking at the right information, if you have a team to support you, if you have a plan with your clinician. So Bionic Health gives you that one-on-one hour-long phone call with your physician, just like LifeForce gives you that one-on-one time. So that's where you can get recommendations on medication. That's where you can create a plan to help you look at key areas like hormone health, body composition, physical performance, and cancer risk. And from there, really focus on what plans of action can be implemented now over the course of the next year, and then get retested every year. So they do have a mobile app, and that can help you monitor your biological age. However, if your main pain point with Function Health was that they don't test you with enough frequency to measure key changes, Bionic Health isn't going to be much of a better alternative for that particular issue, as they only test once a year. However, they do give you slightly more support with a more holistic standpoint, as I mentioned. They give you plans of action that include medication where necessary, hormone therapy, mindfulness, vitamins, cardio, all of that based on your personal history, your goals, your sleep, and of course, data that comes from wearable devices and your blood tests. So if you are looking for top alternatives to Function Health, strongly consider Bionic Health if you are looking for a more holistic approach to your health optimization. If you're looking for much cheaper costs and individual tests only that you can then use with your doctor, go for Quest. They have a lot of great options here, and you can even choose based on, these are my concerns. I'm having low energy. I'm not sure what I need. Well, now you can see a panel of all these different tests that might help you. InsideTracker is really great for optimizing your performance through different data sources like wearables. But if you don't like wearables and you don't think that you're going to keep up with all those categories and all those requirements, LifeForce is a much more comprehensive and advanced form of lab testing with a lot of personalized health guidance that focuses more on preventative health.